Welcome to Charis Ministries. Our passion is to see people equipped, trained and developing for ministry. I want to start today by asking you a question that will develop into a few videos in the next series. The question is this: is there a key to your own leadership growth? I wonder what the thoughts are running through your mind right now. I guarantee for some of you think, well, if I had more money, that would be the key to my leadership growth. If I had a better church, better leaders, better opportunities, maybe if I prayed more, maybe if I fasted more. All of the things that we feel depend on us and often resources from outside. But I want to suggest to you that there actually is a key to your own leadership growth. And it has to do with something in you and with you that will help you more than any single thing. The key to your leadership growth is teachability. Yes, teachability. It starts with us. Now, we all want people who are confident and go-getters, and if you're a leader, you'll want that attitude in yourself and in others. We admire those with tenacity and perseverance. On the other hand, we recognize that no one likes someone who knows it all. No one likes someone who says, yes, I know all that you're saying. If you've ever dealt with people or met people like that, every time you tried to tell them something, yes, I've done that. Yes, I've been there. Yes, I know about that teaching. It's very difficult to engage with someone who thinks they knows it all. And in the passage that I want you to look at is Luke chapter 5, verses 1 to 11. And it's the encounter of Jesus with Peter and the catch of the fish. So go ahead and look at Luke chapter 5, verses 1 to 11. Pause the video and come back and we'll discuss it together. So in this passage, we find that Jesus is coming to Peter, who's hard on the job. He's had a difficult time in his work, a hard day at the office, you might call it. He's caught no fish. He hasn't really been successful. And so Jesus comes and asks him to do something that really a carpenter shouldn't have done. Jesus had no experience in this area, he had no expertise in this area, as the disciples would see it. And Jesus asks them to do something that day that's recorded in these chapters. He was actually asking them to do more work. He was extending their work day. And think about this as a question. What are some of the reasons Peter could have declined what Jesus had asked for him? It was a simple thing in many ways, but why might Peter have declined? You know, there are times in our own life where we might decline to do things. God's asking a response of us, and we think, no, I've already tried that. No, I've already done that. But maybe God is asking us to be teachable. Think of an activity in which you're highly skilled or experienced. How do you think you would react when someone comes and says to you, I want you to try this? Someone that you deem less experienced, less skillful, less knowledgeable. How are you going to react? See, many of us would say, I am teachable already. But the challenge comes when someone else requires us to be teachable in our environment. Under what circumstances are you willing to heed the direction of other people? Let me summarize some of those questions for you. From the Old Testament prophets, we see that God wasn't pleased when people weren't teachable. In fact, he required that teachability of them, and in Proverbs talks about, do not rebuke a mocker or he will hate you. Rebuke a wise man and he will love you. Instruct a wise man and he will be wiser still. Teach a righteous man and he will add to his learning. Scripture says a lot about wisdom. The Scripture says a lot about teachability, but we know it's not always found in those who are highly experienced or highly educated. In fact, that can sometimes be a barrier to us receiving teaching. We all know people who are intelligent and highly educated, but are not at all teachable. What is the underlying obstacle to that? In a later video, I'm going to look at 5 obstacles to us to be teaching, but firstly ask yourself, what is the underlying obstacle to stop us being teachable? I want to suggest to you that pride is that very thing. Pride keeps me closed to the possibility of learning new things. It keeps me from being teachable. At the end of our passage in Luke 5, it says that these first disciples left everything and followed him. What was it they saw in Jesus that meant they were willing to take the risk to follow him? What was it that drew them to Jesus? Well, we aren't told all the details, but clearly there was something there that meant they were prepared to take the risk in following Jesus. Did they understand everything? Well, clearly not. Even after 3 years with Jesus, they didn't understand everything. But there was something that drew them to him. But there was also something that drew Jesus to these first disciples. And in Peter in particular, I think there's one of these characteristics, the one we're discussing, and that's the idea of teachability. Peter certainly wasn't perfect, but it does seem that he was teachable, that he was willing to learn. And that's one of the things that we're going to have to take on board as well if we are to grow our leadership. So think about some areas in our own life where we're tempted to follow our own desires, our own inclinations, instead of following God. In a moment, I'm going to put some passages and some areas where we need to think about up on screen for you. Think about them in terms of how we view popularity, how we view success, how we view our own leadership, how we view joy. These are some of the areas where we may be challenged in our own thinking, and this is where we find out if we really are teachable. If you'd like to get in touch and discuss this further, then all my contact details will come up at the end. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to tune in to our next video on growing your leadership and being teachable.